The perfect run. The hardest level in Super Mario Galaxy 2. One mistake, one singular hit by an enemy, and you start from the beginning. It's a level that many could never beat due to the difficulty. So let's make the whole of Super Mario Galaxy into that to celebrate the 18th anniversary of the game, because I hate myself. When I was a kid, the prankster comets that were always difficult for me were the Daredevil comets. A single mistake, a single wrong A press sends you back to the start of the mission. So I did the unthinkable. I modded the game so that Daredevil mode was always active throughout every level. This means that a single mistake would send me back to the start of the level.
But Vertigo, surely this challenge isn't that much harder?
Well, dear viewer, let me show you how I suffered at the merciless hands of some stars, and how I defeated the final boss under perfect run conditions. The starting point of this challenge was like every normal Super Mario Galaxy playthrough. You enjoy the Star Festival, Bowser absolutely cranks Princess Peach's castle, and Mario gets sent off to the land of the great unknown. We soon wake up to 3 rabbits wanting to play hide and seek, and I caught them with relative ease before having to meet with Rosalina. She told us how to rescue Princess Peach before entrusting us with the ability to spin and shipping us off to the first mission of Gateway Galaxy. Overall, the whole mission wasn't too bad, and I just needed to play super carefully so I didn't have to replay that whole tutorial again. After shutting down the Grand Star machine by stepping on the yellow switches, we obtained the first Grand Star of many. Oh boy, this game is super easy. It surely will be easy the whole way, right? We arrive at Rosalina's Comet Observatory and are tasked with going to various galaxies to rescue the Power Stars in order to save Princess Peach. So, we jumped straight into Good Egg Galaxy. The first mission wasn't too bad. There was a close call on this planet with these boulder things, but it was all good. The fight against Dino Piranha I thought would be harder than it actually was. I just ran away from it until I could safely loop around and spin against its tail. The Hungry Luma level was just as annoying as normal. Collecting 100 star bits was very annoying, but I got the job done in a reasonable amount of time, and could move on. But then we came across the first annoying set of enemies. The Bullet Bills. For the life of me, I kept dying stupidly to these enemies across the whole game, and Star 3 was no different. I'm not saying I'm bad at Mario, but I think these Bullet Bills just outplayed me. I eventually baited them away and could move on to King Caliente, Mr. Carlos Alcaraz himself. He was reasonably easy to take down. I just had to avoid the lava bouncers that he spawned. Funny Hive Galaxy was super chill. The Captain Toad mission was relatively quick, and B Mario felt just as fluid as I remembered. The only difficulty came from my own stupidity on Bug-O-Boom stage. For the life of me, I kept dying to these awful Mandabugs because I wanted to finish this level as soon as possible. Bug-O-Boom himself was free. I just sat by a single flower the whole time and waited for him to fly right by me. To maintain the high spirits though, I decided to move on to Flip Switch Galaxy. It was boring. I just had to play very carefully with the gravity switches. And this unlocked the first boss galaxy. After flexing some awesome speedrun tech to reach Mega Leg quickly, I began the fight. After the Bullet Bill fiasco and Good Egg, I was super worried, but it was a lot easier than I remembered as a kid. All that was required was a quick side flip to bait the Bullet Bill over and to destroy this robotic kaiju once and for all, giving us our second Grand Star and access to the next dome, the Fountain. Starting off the Fountain, we arrive at Space Junk Galaxy, which is one of my favorite galaxies throughout the whole game. The Polestar level felt weirdly normal. There were hardly any enemies to avoid, and the Polestars was super intuitive. Build up to Camella was also really easy. The only slight difficulty came with aiming the Koopa shells at the octopus guys because of control limitations. Camella herself, however, was something else entirely. The first 2 shots were simple, but when the Magic Koopa spawned, I had to be careful. All of the fireballs were a lot to handle, and I took some extra time to clear out the Magic Koopas, but alas, it was doable. The Hidden Star was standard, just I encountered a bit of BS here with this enemy that was definitely on my screen. Tarantox, though, was rough. Part of me had forgotten how the boss fight worked, and I kept dying to the Pimple Pus during a second phase. And even when I had avoided it, I still could barely control the sling pods. I eventually discovered that it was easier to just run laps around him until I could easily stun him and absolutely pop his pimples. Okay, maybe don't phrase it like that, but you get the gist. The Luma soon informed me about Prankster Comets being available. Prankster Comets are these objectives which make previous levels supposedly more difficult. I decided to take on the Speedy Comets in both Good Egg and Space Junk immediately, due to them being on easy stars. Dino Piranha speedrun was super easy and I did it in under 2 minutes, which felt good. Polestar Path was also just as simple. Before I moved on to the boss of this world, I decided to full clear Battle Rock Galaxy 2. I hate this galaxy in normal playthroughs, but this time it wasn't too terrible. The auto-scroller took forever, but it was pretty easy to guide the bullet bill. The blowing up trash star was weirdly easier than I'd remembered as a kid. I may have had muscle memory, but I could remember exactly where to throw each bomb perfectly. Top Maniac's level was a lot longer than I could remember. There were some pretty close calls in the 2D section as well as with the Topmans in this section. Top Maniac himself was weirdly easy. None of the enemies or him do any direct damage as long as you're careful, so I was free to be bumped around by the enemies. Funnily enough, the Daredevil comet showed up immediately after, and I just repeated the fight just as before. I cleared the quick hurry Scurry Galaxy mission soon after, but then we moved onto Bowser's Star Reactor. I made sure to grab all the 1-ups I could throughout the level as I was slightly concerned about the Bowser fight at the end. The platforming wasn't too tricky, and I decided to play it safe at points. The Bowser fight consisted solely of dodging lasers and his fireballs before baiting him onto the lava pads to burn his lizard ass, netting us our 3rd Grand Star. Before heading to the kitchen, I wanted to unlock the upper part of the observatory just for later, and also because I wanted to show off. Instead of starting with Beach Ball, I wanted to clear Ghostly Galaxy first to unlock Luigi's letters, as they are some very quick stars. I realized mid-level, however, that the boos were going to be super annoying if I didn't play carefully. I nearly long jumped into them countless times throughout this galaxy. After saving Luigi in hopes of getting his Honey Hive letter, I cleared the Cosmic Clone Comet in record time, before receiving his Good Egg Galaxy instead, an equally fast star to obtain. All it required was a backflip and 10 seconds of my time, and then I continued the ghostly grind. I grabbed the Matter Secret Star very easily before moving on to the race. I ended up struggling with this race initially due to me forgetting the route and getting stuck on this bone near the start, but the second attempt went a lot better and I absolutely schooled him. However, Bouldergeist was shockingly difficult. His first phase was simple, and I ended up using speed-on strats to clear it quickly, but his hands phase... yeah. I kept being an idiot and getting hit by either his hands or the bomb boos that he spawned on me. The amount of time I wasted just running around is actually astonishing. I eventually played well enough to defeat him, but... at least his Daredevil run went smoothly. Bubble Breeze was typical motion control Mulaki, and my totally legit Wii Remote made it pretty tough to control the bubble effectively. After failing the speedrun tech in the second room, I went the conventional way, and the rest of the level was easy. There's not too much to say about Beach Ball Galaxy besides the fact that swimming controls absolutely suck. I accidentally walked straight into this Wiggler and had to restart, which was fun. The Gold Shell level was a walk in the park, as was both the Secret Ice Flower Star and the Sky segment. Only complaint I have was leading this Cataquack in the Secret Star. I don't know why, but whenever I tried to bring him over, this stupid glacier kept breaking my ice path, causing him to drown. After an embarrassing amount of time, I was able to clear it and the Fastbow Prankster Comet soon after, which meant it was now time for Bowser Jr.'s Airship Armada. When I tell you that the sentries were annoying, I mean it. They just completely lock onto you, and it makes the first part of the level both exhilarating and infuriating. The boss fight against Bowser Jr. was quite fun to play. The Magic Koopas on my airship made the fight a lot more interesting while I tried to focus on grabbing Koopa shells and dodging Jr.'s bombs. He was hastily defeated and we could move on to the bedroom. But before I went there, I got a letter from Luigi. He was trapped inside Battle Rock Galaxy, so I left him there for the rest of the playthrough because Battle Rock. I started the bedroom with my favorite galaxy in the game, Freeze Flame Galaxy. What, did you think I was going to say the normal answer of Gusty Garden? Here I discovered something that I hadn't quite considered yet. The freezing water. In a normal playthrough, if you swim for too long in this water, you take damage. That's not going to fly here, so I had to avoid the freezing water the whole galaxy. I climbed the summit first to get the longest star out of the way, as well as to have a lot of fun while trying to do the second part of the star without the fire flower. God damn, I was schmooving. I was worried about Baron Burr, but his earthquake attack never actually dealt any damage, and it only flung me into the water once or twice, which was okay. For some reason, the Cosmic Clone Ray showed up now, and so I wiped the floor with Cosmic Mario and headed straight for the lava segment. I tried to do the speedrun skip, but was unsuccessful. Big surprise, and ended up taking the galaxy more carefully. The last part was really annoying with lighting the torches, but that's just always difficult to do because of that stupid platform. Hot and Cold Collide was pretty chill.
Get it?
It was the exact same as the Prankster Comet, so I skated by. Gusty Garden was really fun to play through. However, catching this bunny took me forever because I forgot the route mid-chase, leading to the sequence taking 5 minutes longer than it should have had. I absolutely styled Major Burrows. Like, look at that long jump. God damn! I saved the rabbit really easily by ground pounding and spinning the Major to death. The Golden Chain Chomp mission was pretty straightforward, as was the Gravity Scramble. There was an embarrassing moment of me dying to a Goomba while flipping the gravity. God damn it, Vertigo, why did you put that in the script? But alas, it was doable. Honey Climb Galaxy was actually a really fun set of platforming and was a much needed break from the intense segments thus far. Before heading to the Bowser level, I decided to take on Major Burrus' Daredevil Comet. This was a mistake! I don't know how I locked in so hard initially, but the last phase was pure agony this time. For the life of me, I was unable to spin his tail and it took eons to finally knock him dead. Again. Bowser's Dark Matter plant had some very uncomplicated platforming. There were a couple of close calls with these invisible holes, but nothing fatal ever came from them. But on the other hand, Bowser was a different story. I don't know what kind of gym program his coach put him on after World 2, but the fireballs in conjunction with his spin attack made the fight challenging, to say the least. I consistently died by either being too close to his spin attack or being ablazed by the stupid homing fireballs. Eventually, though, I had the greatest lock-in of my life, and I found the perfect balance between dodging the fireballs and keeping space between Mario and Bowser. And that was another grand star down. At this point, I only required 12 more stars to beat the game, so instead of grabbing easy stars, I decided to focus on missions which had a sort of boss involved to make the remainder of the challenge as hard as I could. And, yeah, no, I'm not doing that ever again. And so we began in the engine room's Toy Time Galaxy. I absolutely vibed on the toy trains throughout the level, as well as ripping some insane profanities against the Spring Mushroom. But soon it was time for Mecha Bowser. The unscrewing portion of the boss was relatively easy, but there was a close call with a singular bat. After avoiding the sentry, I could absolutely obliterate Mecha Bowser's machinery and could move on. The Silver Stars on Mario's platform was really chill to complete, as I've been scarred by the purple coin mission here. But the first encounter with the Underground Gunner was harder than I had initially thought. Due to Spring Mario being an absolute pain to control, I couldn't consistently ground and pound him, especially during the electrocution phase. This was where the challenge broke me. I had been playing for 4 hours straight. Spring Mario had turned my brain to soup, and if I had seen one more Underground Gunner, I was gonna throw my Wii into the trash. But after tirelessly enduring this stupid mole, I clapped his cheeks and moved on. To continue the boss chain, I skipped over Gold Leaf and Sea Slide and moved straight to the Bowser Jr. level. Carlos Alcaraz V2 wasn't as simple as he was in Good Egg. I had to consistently keep moving to avoid the lava bounces as well as to prevent the sinking platforms from disrespectfully ending me. Without a single death, we netted another Grand Star, unlocking the garden, where I immediately head. I prioritized Deep Dark Galaxy, another personal favorite of mine. Accessing the underground ghost ship was annoying to say the least, due to the fact that I hate swimming, but it was manageable in the small proportion of the time that I spent there. The Camilla rematch was unlike the fight in Space Chunk. She was actually tough. Not so much her first phase, but the phase up on top of the mast was a doozy. The constant projectiles with little room to move made it tricky to stay alive. I did find a strategy of just sitting on the pole next to the mast until Camilla decided to throw a shell, which made the second phase a lot easier. But fast Vertigo was suffering at 1 AM. I'm actually regretting doing all these bosses. It's so much harder. And with this strategy, the Daredevil Comet was an absolute breeze. The rematch with Underground Gunner was a lot easier than Toy Time's fight as the bubbles don't deal damage. I did some fancy footwork afterwards to skip the Ice Tower requirements and to clear the level easily. Due to no more interesting rivals being present in Deep Dark for this challenge, I moved on to Multi Molten. The lava was quite a concern for me due to it now insta-killing Mario, but it wasn't too bad. At the Sinking Lava Spire, I went for a cool speedrun tech, which nearly killed me, but goddamn I finally did something cool. I forgot that the next Star to Starball segments and my totally legit Wii Remote Skyro controls didn't work, so I moved on to Dreadnought Galaxy. So, funny story, my ass swapped scenes on OBS, so it didn't record the next 4 stars, and I only realized that after I'd beaten Kingfin for the first time. So let me brief you what got done in those 4 stars before I show you the second fight against Kingfin. I cleared 2 stars in Dreadnought Galaxy as well as Drip Drop Galaxy. I died a lot of my own accord in Dreadnought Galaxy due to negligence, and Drip Drop was kind of just one of those throwaway stars needed to unlock Bonefin Galaxy. Yeah, sorry if you couldn't follow that. I just kind of wanted to get through this black screen as quick as possible. I thought that redoing the Kingfin boss fight would be easy due to me one-facing him in my first attempt. But it appears the second time was different. When I tell you that Kingfin turned at the worst possible times, I mean it. This stupid fish often decided to change trajectory and absolutely obliterate me time and time again. The Bonefins weren't even difficult. It was just hitbox baloney in conjunction with an absolute skill issue on my part. But after a good 15 minutes of dying, I eventually defeated him, but I absolutely hated not recording the first fight. So, 60 stars have now been obtained. We can head to the center of the cosmos and rescue Princess Peach. So why don't we do that? The build-up was simple, just some mindless platforming, long jumping, gravity swapping, the usual things that we've been dealing with the whole playthrough. But then we get to this section with the bullet bills. Earlier, I said I kept dying stupidly to these enemies across the whole game.
the whole game.
This is why! These things kept homing in on me and tracking my movement perfectly. And even if I dodged them, the lava lay underneath me, watching me suffer. I could not for the life of me get past this monotonous segment. But eventually I got a perfect cycle of bullet bills which collided with each other, and this allowed me to stand face to face with the big bad Ganon. Nope, wrong game. This is Mario Galaxy, not Ocarina of Time. Am I stupid? With the big bad Bowser. The boulder phase, easy. Counterattacks, my forte. The Spindle Burst segment was simple too. World 4 could not have been harder than the final boss, right? But the last phase, I lay victim to Bowser's onslaught of fireballs and lasers. And then... Yep, World 4 was definitely harder. We obtained the final Grand Star and rescued the princess. And just like that, it was over. Super Mario Galaxy was cleared while under Daredevil Comet conditions. So you might be wondering, how many deaths did I get throughout the whole playthrough? Well, after counting them all up, I can confidently stand firm with 44 deaths, 9 of which came from the final level alone. But in the end, it wasn't about perfection. It was about pain and rediscovering a game that defined both my childhood and many others, one life at a time.